Welcome back. Fruit Punch. I'm Jack.
I'm Coke.
No, he's Cole, but YouTube thinks he's Coke. You usually have to do the autocorrect thing when you search up our name on YouTube, but we're getting that fixed. We have a missed episode
And a new camera.
and a new camera,
Yeah.
but we're going to recap everything.
That's how we're making up for it. We've spent the last entire week, it's 2 weeks since our last episode, building this new camera.
That's not true. We did it about 10 minutes ago, but it looks nice and crisp, and we're happy. We're making improvements. There's a lot more to come. Stay tuned for perhaps some social media accounts, some clips, some guests. We're on our way to the top, as Michael.
Give us time. We've got things going on. We're leading in that direction. Soon you guys will have a full, thick boy YouTube channel.
Better.
No.
Better.
Eventually.
Sorry, Brandon.
No. That's Brandon's setting the way. We love him. We love everything he's doing. He's doing a great job.
I don't love everything he's doing. He says some questionable things sometimes, but
sure, but never him.
He's an idol.
Yeah,
we look up to him.
He's a role model to me. Even though I know, I'm more intelligent.
Okay, he doesn't know that. Okay, maybe post-fight career you're more intelligent, but let's give pre-fight Brendan some credit. Great guy. Okay, so we missed the episode that would have taken place right after UFC 270, which of course was headlined by the heavyweight championship title bout.
Just sorry to interrupt. I listen to Brendan every day. I'm a huge fan.
Okay, we're off.
Cool.
We've gone from that.
No, I'm just saying I am not trying to compete with him because I don't think we'll ever be there. But I hope we will. But
you should think we'll never make it if we don't think we'll make it. We will make it. Ngannou versus Gane. It was a fight that went down a little differently than anybody thought. Obviously, Ngannou getting the win via decision, which was about plus 1,000. Mostly doing it with his wrestling. I mean, what was your reaction?
I didn't know about the knee injury or anything like that. He looked very strange striking. I figured either he didn't train or something's off. And then I was thinking, I guess Gane has the fight. And I also think it was 2-2 going into the fifth round. I wasn't surprised about anything. You saw Ngannou wrestle against Stipe, and that's a whole other statement right there. I wasn't blown away. The only thing that's almost funny and surprising is that he wins by decision, but I wasn't surprised by what he was capable of doing. But honestly, in the fifth round, it was 2-2. Gane would have won. He fucked up. He went for a leg lock, and his coach, I forget his name. Fernand. He was trying to stand up for Gane, saying no, he doesn't want to make it boring fights. He goes for the finish. And even in camp, he was telling Gane, don't go for this in the fight. Don't go for this in the fight. But during the camp, he was pulling it off on high level black belts. So they kind of changed their mind, said, okay, maybe if you see the opening, go for it. And Fernand says he has no regrets that Gane went for that heel hook in the fifth round, which is strange because he had top control. That for sure cost him the fight. It still could have gone in Ngannou's direction, but if Gane
was winning that round,
he had the round and he would have had the fight.
Yeah, no, the scorecards show it. Not the best move in hindsight, but I really do appreciate that move on Gane's part because you said he wants to make it entertaining, and he has been criticized for not having the most entertaining fights. For example, the Rosenstrike fight, the Volkov fight, but just to go the distance with Francis and to win 2 of 5 rounds is spectacular. And Ariel Helwani said something which is very true and very important, that a lot of the best UFC fighters, Rose Namajunas, George St. Pierre, Daniel Cormier, they all stumbled on their first title shot.
Oh yeah, Gane's going to be back.
He's going to be back. And speaking of going to be back, Curtis Blades is calling him out. That fight makes sense to me. You? Blades coming off the win over Rosenstrike. There's not really another fight. You have Stipe and John Jones going back and forth. We'll touch a bit on that later. You have Francis with the injury, with the contract negotiations.
I get it. I understand it. But from the UFC's perspective, they're trying to build up Gane. Obviously, they haven't been doing the best so far, throwing him against Ngannou.
No, that was fair. He was the interim champ.
I know. But I don't think it's a good matchup for him, Blades. And I think they should give Gane a fight that
he can win.
Yeah.
I think he would beat Blades. Fernand says he's bringing in top-level wrestlers. And let's not forget, Gon had an 100% takedown defense rate up until Ngannou. He was defending those takedowns in the early rounds.
Gon wasn't fighting anyone.
Yeah, with wrestling pedigree. Yeah, fair enough. But then again, when you look at Francis, you also have to look at just sheer strength. I think Francis can take Curtis Wades down.
No.
I do.
Okay, yeah.
He's just so strong.
No. Yeah, you're right. And Blaze doesn't focus on defense.
Yeah.
I don't think he could take down like Kane, or maybe he could actually because he's so small.
There's just no other fight.
Wouldn't be able to take down Brock.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think he'd be able to take down any one of them.
Well, he's capable of it for sure. Regardless, though, it's interesting to see that Fernand was still making excuses for Gon, that is supporting him going to that heel hook. Shows you maybe why Ngannou decided to leave.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like that was one of the big criticisms after the Stipe fight, right? The first one, that Ngannou needed better high-level coaches. I mean, this guy Fernand, he has apparently a legacy in France, and he has a name, and he's known. I don't want to say as a legend, but he does definitely has a good reputation. But besides Ngannou and Gon, I mean, there's Imavov, right, who trains there, but there's no one really else. Like maybe, I mean, I feel terrible to say this to Fernand, but I've Gon went to AKA. I don't think he's ever going to get beat again.
No, you're not wrong, and he's a busy dude. Fernand, he's like the promoter of Aries FC in France. Like he's big in the French MMA scene, like as a whole. Like he's a leader in that area.
Yeah.
But no, I think it'd be cool to see Gon face Blaze just to see where he's really at, because Gon and Ngannou, they're both like at the end of the day, yeah, they're fighting for the championship, but they're both the least experienced fighters in the division. Which is funny. Shows you how
crazy heavyweight is.
Thin margins of error. Anyway, I do think I have my AirPods in my ears, and I don't know why. I think that the problem with this fight is that I wanted and people say that it wasn't promoted well, but I disagree. I think the UFC did promote it well. In my opinion, I saw Ngannou as the bad guy and Gon's the good guy. And yeah, I don't know why they say that the UFC wasn't promoting the fight. Like I viewed Ngannou as the bad guy going into it because of like the way that it played out between Gon and his coach and Ngannou. But realistically, like there's no bad guy. They're both great. Like watching Ngannou on Brendan Schaub's food truck, just watching him after the fight, like he's just such a good guy. There's nothing cocky or anything about him, and I felt that there was going into this fight.
Yeah, me too.
And he
seems more humble.
Yeah, so I do give a bit of props to maybe Gon's team and Ngannou's team to promote it that way, but also to the UFC, because I mean I guess they played a part. But I will admit, Schaub is right in saying that it's a little suspicious that they're putting the two biggest, like the biggest fight on the card with the flyweight fights, like to get them less pay-per-view buys in order to pay Ngannou less, to give them less. I
wouldn't jump into that.
No, it makes sense because they're negotiating. It gives them less negotiating power. The less pay-per-view buys that he sells most recently, it decides how much he's paid in his new contract. So
you're saying Ngannou's team wanted to be on the card with another title fight?
No, I'm saying like a different one, a bigger one. I'm saying Dana White and UFC put him on a card with the flyweights so that they wouldn't sell that many pay-per-views. Still enough to get their
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because they only need 300,000, 400,000 to get their profit to make a shit ton of money. So that would obviously be done with these two fights. But Ngannou and Gon on a card with like Izzy and Whitaker, for example, would have done like 800,000, 900,000, and in the negotiations, the UFC bases their pay for the fighter on how many pay-per-views.
They were never going to do that, though. They were always going to have them as the headliner and the co-headliner, either a non-title fight that was big or a smaller title fight. They're not going to put the middleweight and the heavyweight or the light heavyweight and the heavyweight titles on the same card, typically. It's just not something you see often. So it's not like this specific case was like, isolated.
What if they did Lewis Tuivasa? Like
that's not a bigger fight than Figueiredo and Moreno. Brandon Moreno is a massive star in Mexico. He just is.
And there's not a lot of people buying pay-per-views in Mexico.
Trust me, Brandon Moreno's that was a big draw for this card. Brandon Moreno and Figueiredo 3. The first two fights were awesome, and this one delivered as well.
Tuivasa and Lewis would have sold a lot more than Moreno Figueiredo.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Regardless, though, it's cool to see that Francis won. He's the only fighter who who has, I think, decided to not sign a new deal before his last fight on his contract, which means he was fighting for himself, like he was betting on himself, and he was right too. And now we're left in negotiations with the UFC. Either he gets the money he wants, and it's not even money. People keep saying money, but it's not that. He's been offered a crap ton of money. He doesn't care about the money.
He cares about
he does, but he'll say it over and over again. That's not what matters. That's not what's creating the difficulty. The difficulties is that they won't make it so that he's an actual independent contractor. He wants the contract to be more freeing, to not trap you. And right now it traps all fighters. They can't go fight anywhere else.
That's allowed though.
But that's
they
not
shouldn't be able to go fight somewhere else.
But Dana says they're not employees. So if they're independent contractors,
they
allow
should be
them to
able
be
to
independent
go.
contractors.
He kind of lets it's double standards, and
he's contradicts himself all the time, and it's crazy to see in boxing. I will say that the majority average boxers are paid less than the average pay of UFC fighters. But the thing is, when you have a big event with famous big names like Fury and Wilder or Lomachenko or fucking Canelo, whatever, they get like an 80-20 split, meaning they get 80% of the profits.
That's not true.
Boxing gets 20%.
It's 50-50.
Really?
It's the Muhammad Ali
Well,
Act.
no. That's for most that's overall. That's overall boxers in general.
I don't think that's a fact. I think you should.
Well, do you know who Eddie Hearn is?
Yeah.
He was just on Helwani. He said that. So he's the
I'm not taking one
biggest promoter in boxing.
What
do you mean one man's opinion? It's based on fact. It's not opinion. He sees the numbers.
Well, I'm not opinion. You're right. I'm not taking one man's word for that. I just don't believe that 80-20. But also you have to listen, like,
and that's pay-per-view. I'm saying overall revenue for boxing, like promotions like HBO Boxing or Showtime Boxing, they split revenue 50% overall with their boxers and with the company. But for pay-per-views with as big as names as Canelo and Lomachenko and Fury or whatever, they're selling the fight, not the promoters. It's their name selling the fight, and the promotions recognize that, whereas they don't in the UFC. So as a result, they pay those fighters 80% of the pay-per-view buys, and they keep 20%. But overall, with all fighters, as an organization, they split 50-50.
Anyways, let's just recap Figueiredo Moreno 3 for a moment. I mean, I'll go first. I didn't think this fight was the right fight to be made. I know they said they're going to give the shot to Pantoja, but he had a knee injury or something, so they just did the trilogy. And one of the reasons was that I didn't want to see this fight was I didn't think Figueiredo deserved it because the second fight was a dominant showing for Moreno. And also, Figueiredo wasn't a dominant champion before he lost the belt. He had 2 title defenses. One of them was a draw. So I didn't really think this was the fight to make. But also, the second reason was I was kind of worried for Moreno because I know Figueiredo is a beast. And it's like, we have to put him through that again, selfishly. But now we're not an analyst, but I guess an analyst, as a podcaster, we have to take away personal opinions and bias. Biases kind of, we can't be like, this fight should be made because we don't want to see our fighter lose. So Figueiredo looked phenomenal. I still had Moreno winning the fight. I had him winning rounds 2, 4, and 5.
Yeah, so did I. I don't think it was a robbery.
Me neither.
I think it was close enough to be understandable, but that's also acknowledging that we already know as an MMA community that our judges suck. He's going to...
crazy how bad they are. It's actually... Sal D'Amato scored the Francis Ngannou Surreal Gone fight 49-46 for Ngannou, which just makes no sense.
He scored the
Hermansson fight 48-47 Hermansson.
Yeah.
Are you blind?
Eric Nixick called for for him to be fired.
He should be fired.
I agree. He's costing people their jobs and their salaries. Anyway, I am happy to see the fight again. I can watch Figueiredo and Moreno all the time, all day. So another go. Let's do it. Moreno gets his win back. Goes on to fight Askarov or Pantoja or Cave, whatever.
I think you want to see the 4th fight?
Yeah.
I do too, and I love Moreno, but I think you have to give it to the winner of Askarov, Kai Kara France. Meanwhile, run back Moreno and Pantoja. They got a fight in the Empire. Moreno and Pantoja.
I don't think that's fair. I think Moreno deserves it.
I agree too, but can you do 4 title fights back to back with the same 2 people? Then I'm all in for it. I just think I don't know what they're going to do.
You know what? If they weren't at flyweight and if there was another big name,
sure,
they wouldn't.
They're the 2 biggest names in the division by far.
Yeah, and like even Kara France, who's next in line, I don't even think he could fully say that he deserves it over Moreno.
If he beats Askarov, first of all, Kara France is not next in line. It's Askarov. This guy is undefeated and only has a draw to Moreno. That's his only blemish on his record, and it wasn't a loss. And he just beat Joseph Benavidez, Pantoja. Like I honestly don't know why this guy's being talked about enough.
He's Dagestani.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's just
he's also part deaf. He's not even really boring. He's very fun to watch. Watch him against Tim Elliott. He nearly knocked him out on the feet and then just ragdolled him. He's just a phenomenal fighter. And I'm not necessarily a big fan of him personally. I saw him talking trash. I can't remember to who. And I was like, shut up. But I hope Kai Kara France gets the win, but he's not next in line whatsoever. He knocked out Cody Garbrandt. You were the one who told me that Cody's only win in the last 5 years was against the 40-year-old Rafael Sensao, that anyone else on the roster would have seen that punch coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't get him a title shot.
He literally sat down on the stool and then like rotated. He like went, I can actually just do it. He went,
yeah.
I just pooped out keys.
Yeah.
I hope you didn't hear my knees crack. They're like broken.
No.
Anyway, let's talk about Hermansson Strickland.
Sure. How did you score the fight?
I scored for Strickland. I don't think there was.
What was your score?
It was 48-47.
You had it 3-2?
Yeah.
I had it 50-45. I thought he won every round. The first round you can give to Hermansson, so then it's 49-46. In all fairness, I left with 2 minutes to go in the fifth round. I had something to do, but I just didn't see anything happening on the end of Hermansson. When I read it was a split decision, I wasn't even in shock. That's the sad part.
Here's what I know. I know Hermansson's gotten beaten in the face before and has been fine. His chin is granite. And I know that...
I don't think his chin is granite. See him get knocked down by Vettori, who's not known for his striking, and knocked out by Cameron inside 2 rounds. I don't think he has a granite chin.
Okay, fair. But you saw how much damage he took against Vettori?
Sure, yeah.
Like, Strickland's not a power. Like, he touches you. He just keeps touching you. Strickland doesn't go for those big power shots.
He does sometimes. He knocked out Brendan Abbott.
Yeah, but that's after touching him. He saw that he was hurt. Like, he doesn't land huge power shots like a Vettori or a Brunson would, right? So I knew as soon as the
Vettori doesn't have power shots.
You can say he doesn't have power, but he puts power in his shots.
Yeah, that's sad.
Anyway, you can. So yeah, I was supposed to go to a movie that night, Jackass, the new one. A lot of ball and penis hurting, and it was bad.
Don't ruin it.
Yeah, it was just hard to watch. Anyway, so I saw. So we were supposed to leave at 9:45 Eastern time, and it was only the second round of the fight. But I had watched the first round of the fight, and I saw so bad when I said 48-47. That was just I don't know. So I watched the first round and a half of the fight, and I saw Strickland defend the takedowns, and I saw Strickland getting the better of the striking, like landing the jab first, quicker, sharper. So I said to my friends, we were supposed to leave. I said we could go now. Like Strickland's gonna win by decision. There's and I was right. So there wasn't like much that I missed out on. Apparently Strickland didn't try as hard as he wanted to.
He was really he was trigger shy.
Yeah, and I think it's because the UFC. I think Maynard went up to him before the fight and said, like, if you win this, you could be in line for a title shot or something like that, and it got to his head.
Right.
So he
is one away, I'd say.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
In the fight to make is him and Vettori, right? Who else is there?
They're friends.
What? They're friends? Really?
Very close.
Sean Strickland and Marvin Vettori?
Yeah, but Strickland called I forget who he was fighting. Who did Vettori was gonna fight? Oh, Costa. Costa pulled out. They offered Strickland a bunch of money to step in. Strickland called Vettori and said, like, I kind of have to do this. Like, I'm sorry, man. Vettori said, I understand. Don't worry about it. Fight never ended up happening, obviously. But they've become even closer since. So, like, Strickland says he wouldn't want to take that fight. But if he has to, he has to.
Honestly, I think Strickland, that fight, I mean, yeah, I guess if they're friends, I don't want to. It's just who else? I mean, you could say Strickland could be like, okay, let's get that Luke Rockhold fight.
Yeah, he could call out Kevin Holland just to like raise up his name, because realistically, if after the next title defense, like after Whitaker, they're gonna fight either Brunson or Cannonier.
Yeah.
And
unless Whitaker wins, then would they do the trilogy?
Yeah. Yes. But in terms of who's in line, it would be Cannonier or Brunson. So Strickland can fight Holland in the meantime, and then fight the loser of that.
That's not gonna happen. Kevin Holland's moving to welterweight. He's fighting now. It's all there.
But Kevin Holland will fight
anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it just doesn't make
that
sense.
would be so great. That would be amazing. The talking in that fight and then the names, like how big they are, it would do well.
Oh, it'd be such a fun fight, but I don't see it happening. I mean, you can maybe the winner of Imavov, Gastelum. Imavov.
Yeah, I think they're a bit lower down though.
Andre Muniz is fighting Uriah Hall. If he gets the win, he's going to be up there.
You know what fight's crazy? This isn't part of the announcements. I don't know if we talked about it yet. I don't think we have. But Alex Pereira versus Bruno Silva. That's going to be a crazy fight. Bruno Silva's striking, his shots are so heavy and it's so clean, but Pereira is Pereira. So we'll see it. If Bruno's smart and wants to use his ground game, then I don't even know if it exists or not.
He's Brazilian. But isn't Alex Pereira?
Yeah, Alex Pereira is Brazilian too. It's going to be a great fight.
Yeah, no. Alex Pereira, I heard Brendan Schaub saying he needs 3 wins, like 2 or more to get a title shot. If he's fighting Bruno Silva. Right. No, if he beats Bruno Silva, he's 2-0. Like he needs at least 3 more after that.
No, 2 more.
No.
Yeah.
He's not. None of them are ranked.
They'll send him up. It does depend on how the middleweight picture looks. But if they're looking for a title, if it's like unclear and he has 2 more wins, they'll throw him up against Izzy. If Izzy's champion, because that's what they want to do. They want to build that narrative. If Izzy's not champion, they're not going to send him to the title shot quickly.
It would be so good if he was undefeated. He has that 1 loss on his record.
I know, but who cares?
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so we talked a lot about these fights. Do you want to talk about Soriano and Maximo?
Yeah, I'll just quickly say Soriano's takedown defense was incredible, but Maximo played it right. He kept to it, got him tired and kept with the pressure towards the end. Yeah, I mean, I can't say anything negative about Maximo. I'm hoping that he, I think he's gonna be really good. I think he's gonna be a problem.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about some news. Once again, it's been 2 weeks, so we do have some stuff to go over. Quickly, I'm just going to start with this. Jessica Andrade is making her strawweight return against Amanda Lemos. Is it Lemos or Lemos?
No idea.
Okay, but she just beat Angela Hill in a very controversial fight. A lot of people thought Hill won that.
I did think Hill won, but I had Lemos on my bet, so I was happy.
Yeah. If Amanda... okay, so Jessica Andrade is moving back down. That's the right move for her. She's coming off a win over Calvillo. The Shevchenko rematch is a possibility, but why do you want that? You're not going to win that, most likely. She has a win over Rose, the champ. She has, a big case. If she goes down to strawweight and beats this up-and-coming prospect, she'll be obviously back in the top 10, top 5 probably, and then she's 1 or 2 away from a trilogy with Rose or whoever the champ is. It's the right move on her part. I'm excited. April 23rd fight night.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited for that fight. I don't know who's gonna win. I think they're pretty similar fighters, in my opinion. I think because Angela Hill did as well as she did, I would lean towards Andrade.
Yeah, Andrade's great, and she's really good.
Yeah,
she's got power, but she's well-rounded, and she can take a shot.
That's true.
And she's just so
she's fought against great, she has
best experience. She's fought Joanna, Rose, Claudia Gadelia, Karolina Kowalkiewicz, Shevchenko. The list goes on.
That's true. And another return of a legend. I don't know why I said another return of a legend, but fucking Cowboy Donald Cerrone coming back against Joe Lozon.
How's that fight never happened?
I don't know.
That's such a good fight.
I feel like it's a good time for the fight now.
I think they should both retire after it.
Me too. But I feel like when Lozon, when Cowboy was in his prime, it wasn't a good matchup for Lozon. And when Cowboy and when Lozon was in his prime, it wasn't good enough.
Lozon was Lozon has some really good wins. He has a lot of records and performance bonuses. He has never made it to that top 10.
He has a surprising win against someone. Who is it? It's like a big name now, like a fighter that's doing really well now that he won against.
He has a win over Michael Chiesa.
Yeah. Is that it?
I think so. I think it was a doctor stoppage. It might not have been. I think it was a TKO doctor stoppage.
I kind of want to look it up, but it's not worth it. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see Cowboy back. He seems to have like a new.
I honestly though,
energy.
like Cowboy might like he's still really good. Like, what if he's just like dialing down? It's like, okay, one more title run, let's go. What if he just does that?
He could. Like, something's changed in the last year. He's like dialed down, and I think his problem in like the recent years was didn't care to train enough. Like he wasn't putting in the work because he was comfortable in the life he was living. Like he even said that. So I think we're gonna see a really good Cerrone in this fight.
Yeah, I think if Cerrone wins, maybe 4 or 5 fight win streak and fight to the title again.
I don't think so. But I like to see a nice run.
Yeah.
Also, Max Holloway. Now I can say another legend. Finally cleared. Done with his injuries. I think he's the backup for the Volkanovski Korean Zombie
he's
fight.
not he offered to be. He honestly shouldn't offer to be because the last thing he needs is Korean Zombie pulling out and he loses to Volkanovski for the 3rd time, but he didn't really have a fair shot because it was like kind of short notice.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the last thing the division needs. It's the last thing the UFC needs. It's the last thing Alexander Volkanovski needs is a win over Holloway that's not justified. Another one, or not as justified. But I'm happy with Volkanovski Korean Zombie. That's a fun fight.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Korean Zombie's like the odds are crazy. It's like minus 450 for Volkanovski. I think Korean Zombie.
That makes sense.
Korean Zombie is a shot bet.
I think so too. But that makes sense though. Just
no, it does. It's not. It's a good matchup for Volkanovski.
Yeah.
If the right Korean Zombie shows up, he can win.
Mm-hmm.
Just not the one that fought Ortega.
But that was Korean Zombie after recovering from like depression. And
no, that wasn't. He had depression after that.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and then he went and fought Danny Day. He looked amazing.
No, he got really. Who did he fight before Ortega?
Frankie. He won. He beat Frankie and he beat Moicano. He lost to Rodriguez with the 2nd left, and he also beat Dennis Bermudez.
Yeah, like if Ortega didn't beat it to him, it's tough.
Yeah,
that's why I understand the odds.
Korean Zombie's been overlooked his whole career.
Well, going back to Kevin Holland, he had a bit of a tussle with an internet troll who kept calling him out and called him a pussy for ignoring his messages on Instagram. So what did he do? He messaged him, invited him over to the gym. They fought, and what do you think happened?
Kevin Holland showed to force the tap.
Yeah.
Feel good moment. Don't fuck with people just because they're coming off a couple losses. Mm-hmm. They're still UFC fighters.
Yeah, and especially people who like to talk, like Kevin Holland, they like to talk over Instagram and in person. So you want to say something, be ready to say it to their face too.
Yeah, so true. Remember that time when someone said to Paul Felder, tweeted, "Paul, you're such a great commentator. You should retire from fighting and just focus on that." And Paul went, "Would you say that to my face?" And the guy went, "No, that's why I said it on Twitter. You would kick my ass." Paul went, "Fair enough."
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, you can go both ways with it. Bigger news. Jon Jones calls out Stipe Miocic. Now, I mean, I think that might be the greatest heavyweight fight of all time, in my opinion.
I think Stipe in DC is like, come on, Jon Jones has never fought ahead. It's the most intriguing.
Yeah, but Jon Jones is taller than DC and has beat DC.
Yeah, he should have started with he beat DC, not he's taller.
Well, you're saying that like DC belongs more at heavyweight because he's fought there before.
Yes, that's exactly what.
But that's just because he's fat. Like,
okay, I think that's a great fight.
Do
they do it for an interim title if they make that fight?
Yeah.
But then what do you do with it would be the 2nd interim title in heavyweight in a year, and if Jon Jones wins and then loses to Ngannou, is he a 2-division champ?
No, because Jon doesn't have the belt.
I'm saying if he had the interim belt but then lost for the unification title, would he be considered a double champ? Like a person who has won 2 belts in his career?
Oh, no, not until he beats.
Not until he's the full champ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But going back on Cormier real quick, I'm a huge fan. I was just, defending my point. Anyway, I think that would be a crazy fight. I honestly don't even know who I'd have winning. I'd have to say Jon. I think that's fair.
I have Stipe.
Really?
Yeah, I think Stipe's got better hands. He's more experienced in the weight class. I don't know. I don't want to say he's a big guy because Jon Jones is probably going to be bigger. But it's the same height, and I think Stipe wins that.
I got Jones all day.
I think it goes to decision.
Yeah, I would say so too. Just because I think Jones wins and Stipe is the toughest guy in the UFC.
Yeah.
Then in other news, we have Cejudo coming out and claiming that Chael.
Well, originally Chael said that he had re-entered this USADA pool. And this annoys me, Chael, because this has been a couple instances where you say something about fighters and the fighters come out and say that's not true. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. I love you, Chael Sonnen, but don't do that.
Chael loves to talk. He doesn't check his sources.
Yeah.
Ariel gives him shit for it. But yeah, he says, so he lied about him re-entering into the USADA pool. And Cejudo also says that John Jones will literally eat these dudes for breakfast, referring to the other heavyweights. And honestly, I don't disagree. I think the only person that presents a threat is Francis, just because his strength.
Miocic gone, Francis. They all prevent threats.
I think Jones
provide threats.
I think Jones's IQ is just so much higher than all of them.
Stipe's got a great fight IQ.
Not really.
Yes, he does. He finds a way to win. Look at that DC match. He was losing.
Yeah, but you see how many times he's going to hit in the face?
He knows he can take it. How about Ngannou? Do you know what the game plan you need to beat Ngannou? Like, fuck.
Yeah, run at his feet.
Okay, what's next?
Next, we have a Costa call out for a Vittori rematch.
Such a moron.
Still drinking that wine.
Just so dumb. Sorry, Costa. You're not the brightest. Go to light heavyweight. Fight Volkan Ozdemir.
I don't think he should be fighting. I think it's like dangerous.
No, he's really good. He won 2 rounds against Vittori.
You're right. I just think he's already dealing with a lot of CTE.
I just think
he should slow down.
Yeah, I think he should speed up. He's fighting once a year. It's like ridiculous.
I just really don't like him. Just like an idiot, like so dumb, like so
unlikable.
Like so delusional. I don't even. It's just weird. He's like crazy. But yeah, moving on. We have
his last knockout was UFC 226 4 years ago. Lost it.
It's fair.
His last win was 3 years ago, almost.
When was John Jones' last one?
What was his last fight?
Which was
2 years ago.
What, 2 years ago?
I think to the date.
And his last
the actual date, I think.
Today?
Within a few days of margin.
Huh.
It was February of 2020.
Interesting. I think it was February 28th.
Moving on. Vicente Luque, Bilal Muhammad, 2. Great fight. Great fight. Headlining UFC Fight Night April 16th. No location. My prediction is it's probably going to be in Seattle.
Vicente all day.
Me too. Vicente won by knockout the first time, and he came in on short notice, and he still won by knockout. I think Vicente's got a better chin, more experience against top-level guys. I mean, Bilal's a nice guy, but you don't beat Wonder Boy, and then I cheer for you.
Yeah, sorry.
You don't go for the glove touch and then touch, then instantly engage like he did. It was kind of a snaky move right there by Bilal.
I don't disagree, and I am biased, but I feel the same way.
I feel the only knock I have on Luque is that he missed weight as a backup again for the Kobe Usman rematch. That wasn't the best for him.
That is fair. Also, prepare yourselves because Holm is fighting Vieira.
Holly Holm is fighting Kevin Vieira, May 21st, UFC Fight Night. Headlining, it's the number 1 contenders belt, right? The winner fights the title. It's a shame.
And Rothwell versus Gustafsson is on the same.
I don't get that.
The fight?
I don't know. I don't get why Gustafsson's won a heavyweight. He's got a win over the champion, Glover Teixeira. He has a win over the number 1 contender, Jan Blachowicz.
He doesn't want to cut weight anymore.
I don't think it's that.
I think that's exactly what it is. He's older and he doesn't want to cut the weight.
Whatever. Ben Rothwell's not even in the top 15. He's still a good fighter. Like, it's a tough fight.
I think Gustafsson wins.
Me too.
You hear Gustafsson come out recently and say that Khamzat Chimaev works harder than I've ever worked. Which is scary. Considering how good Gustafsson is and most importantly was. That should be a fun fight. I think I have Holm and I have Gustafsson.
Agreed. Holly Holm, that'll be a 3rd win in a row, and then she's got to get a title shot, right?
We didn't mention Pena versus Nunez.
2, they're coaching Tough 30, which is, people are like saying no one cares. I kind of care. I don't like Pena. She went on Joe Rogan. I wasn't a fan.
Neither am I. I just don't like her. Yeah.
Like I would have been so, even though I love Nunes, I would have been so happy for the upset, betting aside, if the person was likable. Like if Holly Holm had got it done, or if Irene Aldana had got it done, or Raquel Pennington, it would be like, oh,
I'd really want Holly Holm to get it done. She's awesome.
Again, I'd like to see Holly move up to women's featherweight.
Me too.
That makes more sense for her. She was supposed to fight Norma Dumont. No one's talking about Dumont. She's won 3 in a row. She's the only contender at featherweight. She's got to be next for me as a featherweight, right?
I think so. Also, cool to note that Muhammad Usman,
Usman's brother,
is on the heavyweights in the Ultimate Fighter. So
he is.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's cool.
What are the weight classes? Heavyweight,
and then women's something. If I had to guess, I'd say bantamweight, but
I wouldn't be too sure. But yeah,
maybe flyweight. Something's telling me flyweight. Maybe I
read
flyweight.
They need featherweights. That's what this is. They did a women's featherweight season for heavy hitters. It was Tough 28 with Team Whitaker, Team Gaslam. I think they did heavyweights and then women's featherweights, like the 2 biggest divisions both. So it was called heavy hitters.
Yeah.
And then all the featherweight winners, like Macy Chiasson won, I think they all just moved down to bantamweight. That should have been like in the contract.
Yeah.
You have to stay at featherweight.
That's fine.
Like the whole point of that was to move fighters into featherweight, and they all drop down. They don't even have 5 fighters in that weight class. They have Dos Santos, they have Dumont, they have Megan Anderson, we don't really know what's going on, and Nunes. Spencer retired. That girl, she just beat Spencer.
So
sucks.
That was Whitaker and
Gaslam.
Right.
Yeah.
Who? So Izzy's manager is who?
Paradigm is his.
So wait, what does Ali Abdelaziz have to do with Izzy?
Nothing. He's
just do with Usman.
Yeah, he's Usman's guy. He's Gaslam's guy. He's Vittori's guy.
Yeah, and he wants Usman
Burns, Muhammad.
He wants Usman to go up and fight
after he beats Leon in the rematch, because that's a big fight. He needs to get past Usman.
Yes.
And if he gets past that, then I see it. That would be a massive fight. Do it in Africa. Do it in Africa. Do it in Lagos.
That would be crazy.
Crazy.
But I feel like they'd want an African to cheer for against like a non-African, just like for that home, like.
Yeah, but.
Whereas African versus, like, I wouldn't want to, like. It
would be the biggest sporting event in African history.
Like GSP versus Rory McDonald, like in Canada, would just be like painful, kind of, you know.
Yeah, for Rory. It's. They're friends. I get it, but this is what Bisping said. And I've been saying this for so long. There's like 200 million people in Lagos. You're both from Nigeria. Big fucking whoop. You have Americans fighting Americans all the time. Yeah. I get it. They're friendly, but like
they're not like friends. They're just
like fucking fight.
They would
for the right amount of money.
Yeah,
and they still have stuff to accomplish. So like Izzy, I think, has at least 2 title defenses, including this one. And I still think Usman, even if he beats Leon, there's Khamzat. And if Burns beats Khamzat, there's that rematch. And there's Luque, and there's Muhammad. And maybe one day Wonder Boy's up there again. There's a okay. We hope.
No,
it's possible.
He's done.
He's not. Shut up, Cole.
He's done.
He's not done.
I cared just as much as you. He's done.
He's not done.
Okay. Well, anyway, I do think that Usman's smart enough to, once he finishes Leon, that he would go and ask for that fight immediately after, before he has to deal with Khamzat. And then I think he'd retire, to be completely honest. He's scaring me, and that he's thinking about it.
He keeps talking about that. He's been talking about it since, I think, before the Jorge rematch.
Yeah.
Which is like, I feel like he just got here.
I think he's more likely to go from fighting Izzy, if he wins, to fighting at light heavyweight than he would be to go back down to welterweight and fight Khamzat.
If he beat Leon and then Khamzat and then Izzy, it would be tough not to call him a goat.
You're right, but he's not going to beat Khamzat. So he's going to play it smart. I don't think he beats Khamzat.
That fight would be so big.
I know it would be.
Khamzat has to get through Burns. If Burns wins that, he's there. They all have
people to get through. Izzy's got to get through Whitaker, his toughest fight ever. Yeah, he's fought him.
Cannonier, if he beats Brunson if he gets the rematch.
But I do think it happens after Whitaker and Edwards would be Usman Izzy. It's just coming. Like, think about it. There's no like big fight that we're culminating to. There is every year. Like, this is the next one for sure.
The big one is Ngannou versus whoever.
That's not happening for so long.
Okay.
He's out for 9 months.
Is there any more news?
He's out for 9 months.
Is there any more news?
No, that's all.
Okay, so let's.
Oh, yes, there is one more big thing. Sensitive topic. You probably all know what I'm gonna mention Joe Rogan. They tried canceling him.
They're trying to cancel him.
Yes, because of misinformation on the vaccine, which is ridiculous. Number one, people think he's far right. Like, he's not. He's a socialist, actually. He voted for Sanders.
He didn't vote for Sanders because Bernie didn't run for president.
He voted for Sanders when Bernie did run for president, is what I mean.
He never ran for president. What are you talking about? He never made it into like the final two.
Yeah, he did. He made it into the final three.
That's not a thing.
You vote for what?
You win a part. He was voting for the Democratic.
No, I'm pretty sure he did.
No,
he wasn't the final thing.
He wasn't.
He did.
No, he wasn't. It was Clinton and Trump, and then it was Trump and Biden.
I'm pretty sure before it was.
No.
Yeah.
No, it was Obama and that guy.
Well, Joe voted for Joe did vote for Bernie Sanders. Anyway, you can look it up. Regardless, he considers himself a socialist, if anything, which is funny because all of his fans are like far right. Just because he hunts most of his fans, not all of his fans, because I'm a fan and I'm not far right either. So they're going after him for COVID misinformation. But the thing is, he's always held himself as just a person talking on his podcast, which is his one flaw, because he does have to understand that his influence is so. It is, because you have to understand that his influence is so big that one thing he says can stick to one of his fans. And you know what? It's unfortunate. We should be able to rely on fans and whatnot to make their own individual decisions and to, not be idiots. But unfortunately, people in the world can be dumb and they can take things the wrong way. And so when Joe Rogan has someone on who's an anti-vaxxer to hear his side of the information, people take it the wrong way. The problem is with media is that every media outlet like CNN or Fox, they only focus on one side of things and they only ask one side questions. They don't care to entertain the other side because they believe they're right. What Joe Rogan does is he entertains both sides. So he had pro-vaccine people on and then
anti-educated people on too.
In both regards.
Yeah, but no, they don't pay attention to this.
He's vaccinated fully, Joe. And
is he vaccinated?
Yeah. And he supports the vaccine. You can hear Brian Callen say, I would go as far as to say that he is pro-vaccine. And he is. The problem is now is that we got past that. People stood up for him. People, came up. But then the same people that were going after him about this misinformation thing went after him for saying the N-word in past podcasts. And of course, saying N-word as a non-Black person is wrong in every regard because it's a very sensitive word to use and very easily avoidable by just saying N-word.
Or not saying anything.
Yes, but every time Joe said it in this video that was released, it was in context. He was referring to something that someone said or like something like that. The one racist thing he did say, though, was that thing about Planet of the Apes, like getting out of the cab in Africa or something like that. But he said in that same episode, right after, he said that was a dumb thing to say. That was racist. And it was. And he acknowledges that and he regrets it. And he says to this day that when he watches that, it makes him sick because he knows he was wrong and he apologizes for it. And unfortunately, the way the world works is cancel culture implies that people aren't capable of changing, but he no longer uses that word as lightly. And he's not racist. His best friend is Dave Chappelle, who is one of the biggest advocates for Black lives. I don't know how to say it, but
no, the whole thing is ridiculous. This cancel culture. Unless you're a neo-Nazi or a Ku Klux Klan member, you should be able to say whatever your opinion is. Okay?
The thing is, because of his influence and how dumb, because we are acknowledged cancel culture exists. Cancel culture exists because people are so dumb. So having acknowledged that people are so dumb, you also have to acknowledge that you can influence them by saying very little. And especially people who are as big of fans as they are. Joe, because of how influential he is, because of how likable he is, I don't consider myself a crazy fan at all. I probably listened to 1/10 of his episodes. I don't even think he's a good comedian. I just love his UFC commentary. I love him as a guy. I love his podcast. But if there was a protest to go and stand up for Joe, I would probably go. And the thing is, I wouldn't be standing up for Joe. I'd be standing up for the world, because if someone like Joe can be canceled, no one's safe.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. I definitely do not think that anyone can use that word, and I don't think that he should. And I do think he should have apologized. And it's weird that people are saying he shouldn't apologize, because he should. I just think he shouldn't be canceled.
Doesn't have to apologize for anything.
He does. He has to apologize.
He did
for
apologize.
saying
He said sorry. Oh, I didn't know about that. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about.
Well, that's what matters. That's what the controversy is.
Well, yeah, let's just talk about something else. I don't like talking about this. I know it's in news and it's relevant and it's somewhat related to MMA because he's a commentator in the field, but it really doesn't have anything to do with MMA. And we're not limiting this just to MMA, but it is Fruit Punch, not Fruit Podcast. That didn't come out right. But yeah, it's irrelevant from us.
Well, you know what's relevant? Podcasting. Who's the king of
podcasting?
Okay,
enough.
Joe Rogan.
Enough. We're going to talk about the fights because we have a lot to go over. Adesanya Whitaker 2, middleweight championship. What's your analysis?
Well, I think that Whitaker is obviously going to look to be using more of his wrestling, but he did come out recently and say that people were coming after him saying like, oh, why don't you wrestle and take him down more? And he said he's tough to take down because he is. Is he smart? He's not an idiot. That's their game plan. They know they're strikers. They know that the two things that they have got to practice, if not maybe the most important thing, is takedown defense, because they've been striking so long. They have their, Eugene Bareman methods or whatever that they are so used to. So they know they're going to outstrike everyone. So the biggest Achilles heel is takedown defense. So obviously they're going to drill that constantly, and obviously they're going to be some of the best. So I think, unfortunately for Whitaker, he's not going to be successful in the takedowns, and I think we're going to see it'll be a better fight. It won't be as easy for Izzy, but I think we're still going to see Izzy get the win just by decision this time.
Yeah, I keep going back and forth, but I definitely don't. I saw someone say that, I think it was Michael Bisping, that Izzy has a clear striking advantage. Izzy is the better striker, but it's not by a lot. Whitaker's so good on the feet. I think that, like I'm telling you,
Whitaker's got great boxing, and his leg kicks too.
And his head kicks. Everything's amazing. His head kick combo is the best combo I've seen.
Yeah, but there's the way he puts it, he doesn't play with feints as much as Israel does.
I'm not denying that Israel's a better striker. I just don't think it's by a large margin. I think Izzy's top 3 strikers ever, and Whitaker's top maybe 12.
Yeah, I'd agree. I do think, though, Izzy got in his head last time, which is why Whitaker was so angry at Izzy all the time. He admits it, Whitaker. But the thing is, now Whitaker is going on about how last time he was in his head, but this time he isn't. He keeps going on about it, saying this time he isn't.
Last time that makes you think that
it's still in his head.
I don't know. If I had to make a pick, I'm going with Izzy by a close decision.
I agree.
Okay. Co-main event: Derek Lewis, Tai Tuivasa, the 2 best personalities in the division. Everyone loves these guys. 2 fan favorites. I've got Tai Tuivasa. I love both guys, but I think Tuivasa just looks so good, and he's just more technical than Derek. Like, he has power, but he looks like he's winning. Like, for example, Derek Lewis lost round 1 to Curtis Blades before he got the knockout. He was losing every minute, every second of the fight with Volkov until he got the knockout. My point is, Tuivasa won round 1 before he knocked out Sakai, who was a top 10 heavyweight. Like, he's just more technical. He's won 4 in a row. He's got all the momentum in the world. It's such a step up in competition, I know, but he's so capable of winning this fight. And if he wins this fight, Tai Tuivasa might be ranked in the top 3.
The thing is, that's
crazy.
The thing is that's scary is that everyone who fights Derek, they're terrified of his power. And sometimes it costs them to the point where they don't go forward, and then there's just a stalemate the whole fight, right?
I don't think Tai's
You've seen that with Francis, and you've seen that with what's his face? It's just Francis.
Who what?
Was it Rosenstruck? Who they were so
Lewis and Rosenstruck have never fought.
So who is it that he fought?
Gone was trigger shy, but that's just because Gone is trigger shy.
No, that's what it was. So I think because Tuivasa is going to push the pressure, he is going to come forward, and he is more technical, and in my opinion, a better fighter. I think that does also open him up to Derek. Derek strikes, and again, Derek can knock you out with 1 punch. We've seen Tai Tuivasa be knocked out in UFC. So with that being said, as great as Tai Tuivasa is, and as much of a better fighter as he is, he might get the best of Derek towards the beginning of the fight, or maybe even for the majority of it. But I do think Derek ends up landing that shot, and I do think Tuivasa sadly ends up going down.
Go either way.
But because that's how I think the fight will go. I do think Tuivasa is better, but I think Lewis can end it at any second.
Yeah.
I'm staying away.
Okay. Next big fight, Jared Cannonier versus Derek Brunson.
Holy crap, this card.
I've got Cannonier, but I'm scared because I literally picked. I was so confident in Kevin Holland, Edmund Shabazian, so confident in Darren Till that they would all beat Brunson, and he proved me wrong on every occasion.
Can I tell you the one difference between all those fighters in Cannonier? Takedown defense.
Yeah.
And
Strength.
It comes down to who is going to be a better striker.
Cannonier's a better striker. Brunson's a good striker, and he's got great power. Cannonier's better, more technical, and he has more power.
And for that reason...
And he's faster.
For that reason as well, I have Cannonier. And
love to see it.
It's sad because like Lon Brunson's made a good run.
But he's also obnoxious. I'm not a big fan of his personality. Like him yelling at Izzy, still calling him skinny boy. Like, you did get fucked.
He started to grow on me a little bit.
He's so good, but he's just not. Is he going to be that guy that we're like, whoa, like no one ever thought he was going to be champion on Blackwoods?
He could. Like I am by no means am I counting him out of this fight. Like if he
wins, he gets a title shot, right?
Yeah, and I won't be surprised if he wins.
I know Izzy wants Canada to win.
Who else is on the main card? There's Ulberg,
Kyler Phillips. No, Kyler Phillips versus Roja. Yeah, I've got Kyler Phillips in that fight.
Me too, easy.
Next is Bobby Green versus Nazarat.
I actually have Bobby.
Probably, but I want Nazarat to win.
Me too, because he's with Faraz. His mom or dad or grandma just died or something. And yeah, he's a nice guy. I just think
Bobby Green will probably win.
Bobby Green has been looking great, and even if his win against Ali Quinta counts or doesn't count because of Al's injuries, it gives him the confidence to go into this fight and get the win. I have Bobby Green.
Winner. Sorry, go ahead.
I've given up on Nasrat. I thought he'd be something special because he has Faraz behind him, but it doesn't look like it. Yeah, I've got Bobby.
I see. I was gonna say I see Bobby Green or Nasrat, whoever wins this fight. If they win, they're getting a top 15 about.
Oh yeah, for sure. You keep talking. I'm gonna get out my bets, and so I can start putting them in.
Well, just some fights on the prelims. You have Roxanne Modafferi versus Casey O'Neill.
Bet the house on Casey O'Neill.
Said that when she fought Macy Barber.
Casey O'Neill?
No, Modafferi.
Yeah, okay. But
the point is, don't
Macy
get
Barber was never in my brain good.
She wasn't mine. I was shocked, but I do see Casey O'Neill winning. But I wouldn't be shocked if Modafferi wins. But I have O'Neill, and then Alex Perez and Matt Schnell's on this card, correct?
Yes,
I've got Alex Perez in that fight.
And there's so many great fights. There's Andrei Arlovsky versus Jared Vanderaa.
Yeah, I've got Andrei Arlovsky.
There is Alexander Hernandez versus Renato Moicano.
Got Moicano.
And there's William Knight versus Maxim Grishin.
I've got William Knight.
Me too. And there's that's pretty much it. All right. Are we gonna go through these bets?
You are.
Us, we, all of us, the group, the class, the community. So let's go in order. UFC 271.
Yeah, that's the card.
That's it. That's right.
Okay. Texas.
First off,
12th, Saturday.
We have Jeremiah Wells versus Mike Mateta. I have Jeremiah Wells. He's great, and he is trained by the same. Fuck, I totally forgot who he is. It's Gracie Baja. I forget which Gracie it is, but all fighters that have come from that jiu-jitsu
do
so well. Andre Petrovsky.
Oh yeah.
Couple others that I'm forgetting. Anyway, him minus 225 on money line against Mac Mateta. Then I have Sergey Morozov minus 210. I have him winning against Douglas Silva de Andrade. Douglas
Silva de Andrade's great, for sure.
Yeah, Sergey Morozov's better. Then we have Jacob Malkoun against AJ Dobson.
Okay.
I have AJ Dobson, undefeated. Great on the ground, great striking, and incredibly strong. And Malkoun lost his last fight.
Did he lose his last fight?
Yeah.
To who?
He got knocked out by, I want to say it was Alisson or something.
I think that was his first fight. I think he's won since then.
Is that the case?
I'm pretty sure.
Bear with me, guys. He won against Abdul Razak Al-Hassan.
Oh, he lost by
He got
knockout.
knocked out by Bill Hotz.
Yes, and then he's won 2 or 1 since then.
One.
Okay.
Al-Hassan.
He won by knockout?
No, just decision. And I honestly don't think Al-Hassan's very good. I have the following week Joaquin Buckley beating Al-Hassan.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so we got Dobson, we got Moraza, we got Wells. Then I'm taking Carlos Alberg against Fabio Chirant. Alberg looked great in his last fight before getting finished by Kennedy Nzwaku or whatever.
Yeah.
If he just covers his fucking head, that's it. This wins him every fight, and this loses him the fight. Wins, lose. Okay, then we have Alexander Hernandez versus Renato Moicano. Because I'm betting on a lot of fights, this one's one of the closest in my opinion. I can't decide on it. And as a result, I'm just skipping over him. But I am taking, on the next fight, Ronnie Lawrence against Manny Martinez. I'm taking Ronnie Lawrence at minus 275. Then we have the William Knight Maxime Grishin fight. William Knight seems to be getting better and better every time he goes out there. What the stories I hear about him in the gym, like his strength is ridiculous, and that also speaks to his work ethic in a sense. So I think he's going to continue to get better and better. And surprisingly, his cardio isn't that bad for as big as and strong as he is. So I'm taking him against Maxime Grishin, who isn't anyone special. Then Alex Perez was matched now. You have Alex Perez. I do as well. It's minus 400 though. Is the value worth it? I don't know. The sad thing is on Bet365 at the moment, there's no, you can't like click into the methods of victory or anything like that, or do over and unders. So I am for now taking a minus 400. Then I have Casey O'Neill at minus 350 against Roxanne Modafferi. I have Andre Arlovsky at minus 160 against Jared Vanderup. I have Bobby Green at minus 150 against Nasrat Haqparast. And Kyler Phillips, we've talked about this, minus 350. Jared Cannonier, minus 175. And not betting on the Lewis Tai Tuivasa fight. Just not a good idea. If you want to bet on it, say it doesn't go to distance.
I'd say it goes over 1.5 rounds.
I wouldn't do that. I would say it goes under 2.5 rounds.
Okay, but that's probably not great odds for sure.
And then, unfortunately, again, odds aren't out yet for like, what do they call it?
Prop bets.
Prop bets, yeah. And then we have, last but not least, Izzy against Robert Whittaker. And this time around, I'm going with Izzy by decision at plus 150. And now, because I normally do this thing where, we do one bet and then the other bet, and I've already avoided Hernandez and Moicano just to save us, I'm going to switch out one more fight for you to make 2 parlays with. And it's very tough for me to choose. I'm leaning towards either Cannonier Brunson. You have to help me of which one to like do the 2 bets with, to flip.
Yeah.
So should we do a bet the same one, but also with Brunson, also with Haqparast, or also with
Whittaker?
No.
I would say do another bet.
Silva.
I would say, yeah, but I would do another bet, same thing, but with Brunson.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. So
actually, if it was me, I would do same bet, same thing with Whittaker.
So you would do 4 bets, or?
Yeah.
I guess it would actually be more than 4 bets. It would be
4 bets.
It'd be 8 bets.
Whittaker, Cannonier.
2 to the power of 2.
Whittaker, Cannonier. That's 1. Whittaker,
2 to the
Brunson.
power of 3.
It's 4.
Huh.
I'm not saying the 100. Okay, whatever. I don't
You'd have Whittaker, Cannonier. Whittaker, Cannonier. Whittaker Adesanya. Whittaker Brunson.
Yeah.
Then you'd have Israel Cannonier and Israel Brunson.
How many fingers are you
4.
Okay, that's it for our episode today. Not a mathematician.
Apparently not.
But
I'm disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
It's plus 38,562. And that gives you back 3,000 for $10. It gives you back $3,866. If you swap out Cannonier with Brunson, this is going to be a big one. Plus 61,408. You put in $10, you get $6,150 back.
I do it. I will do it.
That's a big parlay. To keep things more safe, I'm gonna go take off Dobson. This is the safe one, right? Take off Dobson. Take off Andre Arlovsky, take off Adesanya, take off Brunson. Now we only have Morozov, Wells, Olberg, Lawrence, Knight, Perez, O'Neill, Green, and Phillips. I would switch out Knight with Grishin to do 2. Your value now before you switch out Knight is plus 3,264. $10 gives you $336 back. Then you go back, you switch out Knight with Grishin. 5 more seconds, Jack. Calm your tits. For $10, 222. Yeah, that's it.
Cole's been doing well lately.
I have been, but I would, if I were you guys, listen to the last 2 parlays I gave you, because I tend
safer.
Yeah, I tend to just try to do every fight and it never goes well, especially when I tell you guys. It's like fate messing with the bets. I can't explain it.
Anyways, we're good?
Yeah, no, that's
episode 26 wrapped up. Next episode, you're going to see better angles, better everything.
Yeah, we're going to try to get some multi-cameras, hopefully by next week.
Yeah, and hope you enjoyed the crisp imagery.
Yeah, some light boxes, maybe an extra mic, some like Starbucks
some
guy.
Toys are coming.
Yeah, Starbucks guy, young Jamie.
Yeah,
let's go. Okay.